Welcome to Behind the Barricade. I'm Jim Christian, and this is the show where we get real about something that's been bugging me for years. Construction productivity has been basically flat for decades. So I sit down with people who are actually moving the needle and ask them how they do it. And today I'm really excited. My guest is Christina Magrans, founder and CEO of Studio Lords. 25 years in design and architecture. She cut her teeth on the Tiff and Company account, delivered 65 luxury stores around the world. And then 5 years ago, she made the brave jump and went out on her own. She does retail, workplace, wellness, residential. She's seen how a project comes together and actually where they fall apart. And this is the one she breaks down, a project that just clicked, where the pre-construction time almost matched the build time, on budget, on schedule, no surprises. She tells me why her team fights to be on one particular client, and it comes down to doing something as simple as a handwritten thank you note. And she's got an AI teammate called Claudia, who she treats just like she's on payroll. This is one of those conversations that sounds like it's about design, but it's really about trust, timing, and getting the right people in the room early. So let's pull back the barricade. Here's my conversation with Christina. I'm Jim Christian, founder and CEO of Cornerstone. Welcome to Behind the Barricade, where we really try to unpack performance in the construction industry. For decades, construction productivity has been flat, and we're trying to have conversations, real conversations with real people that are making a difference in how productivity can be done in construction. And I'm so excited to have Christina Magrans from Studio Lords. She's the founder and CEO of Studio Lords, and got to know her through a mutual friend, and I'm so grateful, Christina, to get a chance to meet with you. And then when you said yes to coming on the podcast, I was so excited. So thanks for being here today. But for those that might not know you, would you be able to just share how you got to where you are and how you formed Studio Lords and what's been your trajectory over the years?
Sure. Thank you so much, Jim. Thanks for having me. So I've been in the interior design and architecture world for 25 years now, mainly specializing in retail environment. I started back in 2000 when I graduated from school. I started at a 10-person firm called TSC Design. They later were acquired with Mancini Duffy. But when I first started, there were 10 of us. And together as a group, we went through 9/11. We went through the 2008 financial crisis. And I learned so much there as far as team support. It felt like a family. I still have such great friendships from that time. I was growing so much. I was in my 20s and I learned about adaptability and resilience at that point. And I had the opportunity to work on the Tiffany & Co. account. And that's when I really fell in love with the retail environments, especially luxury. And I had the opportunity then to become the manager of the account. I completed 65 stores when I was with TSC Design, and I got to travel the world. And so then I moved on to Lease Architects, which was later acquired by Callison. And I spent 10 years there, also bringing in more luxury retail clients and Richemont, and just really honing in on relationship building and mentoring and bringing the team together, really understanding how values relate to what you're doing and connecting the team to that, creating a really powerful culture. So then, so 20 years working at larger firms and then going out on my own 5 years ago.
Brave step, a brave step. So tell us a little bit about where Studio Lords is at today. What kind of work are you doing? How many are on your team? What's happening with Studio Lords?
Yes. So obviously with the deep roots and relationships with retail, that is the majority of our work. And a lot of the team I worked with at Callison and who have now joined me over here, which has been wonderful because a lot of the team members, we have already established that trust, that friendship. We know how to work with one another. And so that's just been really, really special to have them by my side. And people say it's harder to leave friendships. And so if you're friends with the people you work with, you don't want to leave. Like, we've created this really great environment. And so retail has been the majority of our work, but we have branched out to workplace interiors, which has been extremely rewarding and really fun to work on. And I never thought of workplace environments turning into more of that rollout work, but it has. I have one client who we designed their office here in New York City. And then they loved the new look and feel that they've asked us to create this as a new prototype for them. And so we're renovating their offices in Boston and San Francisco, and then new offices in Washington, D.C. and London as well. So it's just turned into a really great client. It's a great partnership. And again, a lot of fun to work on. And we've also branched into wellness as well. So we're doing a fitness health club concept that's in Vancouver.
Oh, okay.
So we're developing the prototype design, and then it'll turn into a multi-location gym.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, so it's been great. And then even we've taken on some residential work as well.
Oh my goodness.
So I realized, it's a good time to diversify. Retail has been up and down, less predictable. So it's great. It's just about working with good people on whatever that type of project is.
Wow, that's amazing. What a journey you've been on. And yeah, that sounds like you got lots of great things going on. That's exciting. That's exciting for you. Well done. When you think of construction productivity, as we've talked in before the podcast, and kind of looking at productivity in the construction industry for a couple of decades, it's been pretty flat, which is a bit surprising given technology and the speed at which we're able to do things, etc. But in your experience, have you experienced like a productivity breakthrough in any of the work that you've been doing, that everything just clicked and the schedules were maintained, the budgets were reasonably maintained? I know that's always a challenge, but what kind of story would you like to share about a productivity breakthrough in your career and what you're seeing right now?
Yes. So I would say the workplace interiors project that I was just speaking of, which is Keystone, was the owner, and they trusted us. Trust was already established just because of a friendship, and bringing in us as the experts and them relinquishing control to us in the sense of they gave us a budget and I was going to meet that budget. And so I brought in a general contractor early on. And so they did preliminary pricing exercises with us at the end of design development, and we created values to the project. So we were always able to keep at that budget, and they knew exactly when we were going to start construction, when it needed to be turned over. So they also had their team ready to go. So there was no surprises. There was no lack of vendor support, sub support. It was everyone knew when they were going to be needed on site. And when we met the budget, when we did the design development and things were priced out, we had different alternates, and we were able to then pick and choose from those to be able to still create the design that we wanted, but within that budget. And had a furniture vendor. The furniture vendor knew exactly when everything was going to be needed on site, install, coordinating with the landlord. And so when everybody's just on the same page and there's no surprises, and you can limit the surprises when you know things that will not change, like schedule and budget. If we can eliminate those things, there's always going to be surprises, such as if there's something else happening in the building, if there's a site condition that you weren't aware of. But the things that you can control, if you can see those in full view and tackle those, to me, that will help with productivity throughout.
Help us understand a bit of the scale. How big was this project that you like? How many square feet would be involved?
Yeah, so this was 11,000 square feet just on one floor.
One floor.
Mm-hmm. Full gut.
Full gut. Was the demo done, or was that part of your responsibility as this build?
Right. Demo was part of our scope as well. And so that was able to be done early on. So we first filed a demolition permit so that we can get in and look at those existing conditions, make any adjustments to the drawings that were needed. The GC was able to adjust their bid based on anything that was found during demo. So the sequencing of the steps and the project, it just all made sense. And to me, it's just setting expectations, setting up the team at the beginning, everybody understanding their roles and responsibilities.
Amazing. When you look at the whole project, what would you say, if maybe you may or may not know this off the top of your head, but like when you think of the project, how much time was spent in construction? How much time was spent in pre-construction or design development, then pre-construction. How would you categorize the amount of time you spent in the different cycles of the project?
So from beginning of test fits to design development, that was roughly about 8 weeks. And we had then a pricing exercise while we were working on the construction documents. There was a pricing exercise with the GC. So that was over the course of 3 weeks. Construction documentation was about 4 weeks. Then we really just honed in on the bid, making sure that everything was in there, but it didn't have to be a full bid process. So that was pretty quick. The demo had started already, and overall, I think it was about 14 weeks of construction.
Was almost even the amount of time pre-construction versus construction by the sounds of it. Would that be fairly reasonable?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you bring the GC on? Tell me a little bit about the contract format that you had with them. I sense that maybe you had experience with them previously, but just how did you get that kind of contract in place with the GC that you were comfortable with and that the owner was comfortable with? Because there's always some tension there, I find at times, where the owner might feel they've given the general contractor a blank check. So how did you maneuver through that and getting it properly papered?
So the owner, what they cared about was budget and timeline. So as long as I'm telling them that these are going to be set in stone, they're trusting us to do that. And then, yes, the GC, we had just finished a flagship project with them, did a great job. We really enjoyed working with the site super. So knowing that he could finish that and move right on over to this project, it just made sense from that point of view. And yes, we've had multiple successful projects over the years with them. The relationship was established.
And was it a transparent pricing exercise that they were showing you costs and you had agreed on general conditions and overheads and markups? Is that how you established it?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be a great way to really form a partnership on a project, isn't it? That everybody's kind of aligned, focused on the project rather than their individual cases or individual positions. And tell us about how the furniture vendor how did you get that furniture vendor and how did that all get established and have the great relationship that you ended up having there?
Yes. So we were working on another workplace project. It was just a few steps ahead. And so for that project, it was a much larger group as far as ownership, 2 different project managers involved, one that the owner had hired, one that the landlord had hired, lots of players. And so we had to bid out that project to 5 GCs, 4 furniture vendors. So it was just like a heavy lift. And so what we had learned from that is we had already gone through the bid process with these 4 different furniture vendors. So we felt there was one that was more comprehensive bid, better response time, in our opinion, was better suited as a vendor. So we just chose them for this other project.
Wow. Great to have that experience where you could have leveled a bid on another project. Did they do the other project for you as well?
They did. They did
Yeah.
win the bid. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And anything else come to mind? It sounds like you had an amazing team. It sounds like you had an amazing client. Any other secret sauces in that project that you wanted to share?
A big difference there than I see in some other projects that we have is the client being so appreciative and consistently saying thank you and complimenting the team, not just me, but the team. And it goes such a long way. And I mean, handwritten thank you notes and gifts and thoughtful gifts as far as a book that we think that we should read. I mean, I've never experienced anything like it, but you then want to go the extra mile. You want to do more. You want to please them because they are so lovely. And that doesn't happen so often in our industry. So if this could just be something that is the standard, I think changing for all of us. And now that we're continuing to work with them on all these other projects, everybody in my team wants to be on the account because it's
Of course.
because they're just so lovely.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. That's great.
Yeah.
My grandmother used to say you get more flies with honey than with vinegar or something. I forget what the adage was. That's awesome.
Yeah. So being able to now have my own company, I want to work with good people and people that value us and see our value. And you can create that friendship, that relationship, that you can feel comfortable with saying, okay, this was a miss and we're going to make it right by doing this. And it's accepted, it's okay, and you move forward. It's that relationship that you want to continue and create that trust, and it's really special.
What was your cadence of communication with, like, did you have meetings with all the team, the owner, the general contractor, the furniture vendor, yourselves, maybe your permit expert? What kind of framework did that sit in?
Yes, we had set up weekly touch bases. We still have weekly touch bases because of all the projects. So just always set in the calendar, even if it's a very quick update, but it was always just a standing meeting in the calendar. And then that continued through construction as well. That was just then led by the contractor. But it was a weekly meeting. I think weekly is needed through all stages of the process. I think that also establishes that relationship because the more you get to just see them, ask how their weekend was, get to know their dog and their kids and everything else, I think that helps. So I think weekly meetings throughout the project is great.
Now, were they mostly online or did you do some in person? What was your mode of those?
Both.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, I don't even want to talk about my next question about when haven't you seen productivity breakthroughs, because it seems like just a perfect project that you were on, which is awesome. But when you think of a project or a series of projects not going quite as well as that, just would love you to unpack some of the things that you're seeing and the opportunities or the obstacles. I just want to unpack that a little bit for us.
Yeah, I just feel that there's so many teams that are so overwhelmed, so busy right now, and you cannot get an answer and you don't know how to move forward. And the idea that a decision, everything is based on sequence. And so we do this, then we have to ask the question, or you need somebody, the owner, to review and provide comments, and then you can move to the next round. So how do we do things that are more in parallel? Or how can we establish at the beginning of a project where the owner can say, these say the brand standards, if anything deviates, then come to me, but keep the project moving forward, or whatever it could be, that we're not just consistently waiting on a response to an email when you're having to say again, did you have a chance to look at this? Or can we set up a quick call and we can walk you through? Those are some hiccups that I think that still need to be remedied because we know that the opening date is not changing. That lease is established. The opening date is set in stone. And we have a lot to do between now and then. And it's only going to run smoothly if we have the approvals that are set from the beginning about whose roles and responsibilities those approvals are. So somehow to do something more in parallel instead of in sequence would really help as far as productivity. Timelines are just getting tighter and tighter. And we're finding also a lot of retailers are signing leases without first getting a team established and a full understanding of what that space requires as far as the infrastructure of the space and timelines for, say, new HVAC units, or cost of all of those items, and permitting times. All of permitting, the jurisdictions can't keep up with the amount of work. And so the timelines for permitting are just getting longer instead of shorter. And a lot of the retailers don't know all of this before they sign a lease. And then they just want the store open, of course, immediately. So we're just trying to always, how do we do this faster? How can we solve this for them? So then it's, okay, just as design is about problem solving, so now our timelines. What can we do to meet the needs of the client? So how do we do a quick set that will go in for permit, knowing that we'll need an addendum later on? How can we do a design even faster? How can we do this as design build? What can we do in the space that won't require filing a permit? So can we look at it strategically that way? So all different problem-solving tricks that we're doing now.
What would you say? Is it unrealistic expectations from the client, or is it just not enough experience that they haven't been through it enough to know the process? Like, where is that resistance coming, do you think, or why is it coming?
We're seeing both. I mean, with DTC brands who are new to this altogether, so they don't have that full knowledge yet. And we just always wish that we could be brought in sooner. Project managers are amazing, owners rep project managers. And if they could just bring them in earlier on, it'll make everything so much smoother. And then others, they have this great opportunity at this great location that they've always wanted to be on that, say, on that street or in that mall. And so it's always been part of their bigger picture as a brand. And so they're going to go for it. Like, of course they are. So no, and they well know it's going to be a challenging project, but they have expectations from their higher ups. And so it is what it is. And so then how do we all sit on the same page, same side, and tackle it together? And I think a lot of that is bringing in a qualified team from the beginning. So if it could be the architect, engineer, project manager, and the GC early on that had success together as a team.
It seems to be a thread that we're seeing more and more in the podcasts that we're doing, is that this thread of getting the team together, getting it aligned earlier is better than later, and kind of getting everybody pointed in the right direction seems to be a key to success. And yeah, our own experience would be the same. The earlier we can get in, just as you were saying, like, let's assess the site. Let's see what the risks are, what the opportunities are, what's the unknowns, what are the knowns, so that proper CapEx can be developed, a proper schedule can be developed. Well, this has been a fascinating exploration of when productivity doesn't work. But as we move on to thinking, what's your advice for us in the industry, Christina? What should we be paying attention to? What are the big issues that we should really be spending a little more time, or maybe even more time than we already are, on trying to figure out how to get these breakthroughs to come in productivity?
I think it's about being extremely adaptable and trying new things, also seeing that we can't do things the way we used to do them. I think we need more people in the room who would say that's going to be a struggle and we're going to do everything we can do to get this done. Or instead of a lot of buts and a lot of like, no, this can't be done, it's okay. Let's think differently. Let's be creative. Let's be agile and figure this out. I think that's also the fun part of everything going on today, is that nothing is how it used to be and it's consistently changing. And I think we need to just get our heads around the fact that we need to have different ways of doing things and figure that out. I think that's also part of me having a boutique firm. We can quickly shift and change things. It's not the huge, large firm and you have to get a million different approvals. Like, you're talking with me. If you want to do something different, if you want our contract terms different, if you want a different billing structure, we can make decisions fast and be adaptable.
We have this line that we say we're nimble and adaptable. You know, it's easy said, not always easily done, but we strive for it, right?
And then I realized that I'm extremely resourceful. Like, I like a good challenge because I like to figure out how to get it done. It's just part of it. Yeah, being able to be resourceful, calling people, getting advice, bringing in different partners. You can figure out anything.
What's your thinking on AI right now? It's a hot topic. Everybody's talking about it. What's your thinking on it?
I love it. I absolutely love it. As a team, we're having so much fun being curious and trying it for anything and everything. So every Monday we get together for our team weekly sync, and we always have somebody present something they learned that week on AI and how they're utilizing it. So we have it embedded within our Excel and with Word and Outlook. And so it's helping us with just daily tasks. It's helping me as far as I have dashboards where I can review data as far as our project profitability, our team resourcing, our number of proposals that we win, that we lose, and projects that have gone dead. And it just thought partner to me then based on that data, how we should react to things. And then also there's the AI renderings, which has been really fun to play with and using it in different ways. So right now it could be still creating a SketchUp model, but then putting it into AI to make it more of that photorealistic, which is something that would have taken a lot more time to be rendered by the computer program. So instead it goes right into AI and you get a beautiful rendering very, very fast. The other is to have it do different mock-ups for us. So we have from Pinterest, we have these ideas, different inspirational images, and then we ask it to give some iterations of a different fixture based on these look and feel, and it'll give us some options. You can now tell it the exact product that you want to see on the fixture based on the product that they pull from the company's website. So then the client can see their actual product on the shelves. And it's just quicker. It's just a lot quicker than it used to be. So we're just having a lot of fun and embracing it into our daily workload.
I'm in a AI mastermind, and the leader was showing how org chart in the future will have our real people and our AI agents, that they'll have roles in our companies, and
Yeah.
it was
So we're
fascinating to
So we've
think
like
about.
tried all of them and we use different ones for different tasks. So right now though, we do use Claude a lot. And we call it Claudia. Her name is Claudia,
Yeah.
and we call her like as if she's another team member.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thanks for being on the podcast today, Christina. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I look forward to many more with you in the future and doing some work with you as time allows and as opportunities come up. And it's been great. If people wanted to connect with you directly, what's the best way for that to happen?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is always great and we need more followers, so that would be lovely. Also, we have Instagram. Would love for you to follow us on Instagram as well. So that's Studio Lords NY. And yes, you could find me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again, Christine. I've really enjoyed this, and thanks for being on the podcast, and look forward to those that are listening to hearing your stories. And yeah, we'll see what comes next. Thank you so much. Wow, what a conversation. I'm still thinking about a few things Christina said. I want to leave you with the ones that stuck out for me. The first is the idea of parallel instead of sequence. So much of what slows down a project isn't the work itself, it's the waiting. Waiting on an answer, waiting on an approval, waiting on one more round of comments. Christina's point was so simple, but it landed. Set the rules up front. Decide at the beginning who owns which decisions, so the project keeps moving instead of stalling out in someone's inbox. The second thing, and honestly, this is the one I keep coming back to, is how much of her best project came down to people actually liking each other. She told the story about a client who sent handwritten thank you notes, thoughtful gifts, genuine appreciation, and not just for her, but her whole team and the whole construction team. And what happens? Her people started fighting to be on that account. They wanted to go the extra mile. That's not soft stuff. That's productivity. When trust is already there, you stop protecting positions and start solving the actual problem together. The third one I just loved. Her whole team treats AI like a curious new hire. Every Monday, somebody shares something they learned. They've even named theirs Claudia, and they talk about her like she's another teammate. The spirit of let's try it, let's stay curious is exactly the mindset that breaks the productivity ceiling we keep bumping into. If there's a thread running all through it, it's the one that Christina kept coming back to. Get the right people in the room early, build the trust, and stay accountable when things change, because they always do. Now, before you go, if something in this conversation was helpful or useful to you, if it gave you one idea to bring back to your next project, do me a small favor if I could ask. Leave us a rating or a quick review on Spotify or on Apple or wherever you're listening. I know everybody asks for that, but here's why it actually matters. Reviews are how this show gets found. They're how the next builder, the next designer, the next project lead, someone who's stuck on the exact problem we just talked about, stumbles into this conversation when they need it the most. You leaving 30 seconds of feedback is what puts this in front of the person who needs it next. So thank you for doing that. Thanks to Christina for being so generous with her time and her stories. You can find her and her team at Studio Lords and follow them on Instagram at Studio Lords NY. I'm Jim Christian. This is Behind the Barricade, and we'll see you on the next one.